guys, and welcome back to another episode of Pit Lane Glam. This week we're here to talk about the Chinese Grand Prix. So let's just jump straight into it. So obviously this week being the Chinese Grand Prix was also the first sprint weekend of the year, which meant we only ran one actual practice session. So China being a sprint weekend kind of kills more than just data, because obviously you only got the one practice session to get as much practice in as you can, but they also just resurfaced that track, which meant that it was a little bit more difficult than usual. China is known as a tire shredder, and with a new surface it's going to shred even more. So being a clockwise circuit, they tend to lose their front left. I think it's front left. I don't know a clock that well, I'll be honest. And it does cause some issues, but they're all kind of aware of it with obviously the simulations they run, and all the fun stuff that they do leading up to a race weekend, you know? I'm not part of a team. I couldn't tell you exactly what goes on, what secrets go on behind closed doors. All I know is that they do run the sims, and they also know that that track's going to be a bit of a killer. Not much went down in FP1 other than Lawson and Alex Albon kind of went into the gravel quite early on. It did cause some issues for Alex's car, with him reporting that there was something loose down by his pedals a bit later on because of it. Charles Leclerc had a bit of a spin out as well, but nothing really happened from that. He was able to get his car back into line pretty easily after it and just kept running. We did have a red flag towards the end of the session, with Jack Doohan reporting issues with his power steering and kind of having to pull over on the track and come to a stop. Obviously, once you're at a stop, it gets red flagged, so you can be taken off the track. And I think that was really it for FP1. The only practice session of the week, of the race week. Oh my god, my brain is giving up on me already. It's been about a week since it happened, so please excuse me. I got sick again after filming that first episode, and it's taken me till now to recover. Sprint qualifying, honestly nothing exciting really happened other than, you know, tires getting chewed through as per usual. First 5 out though were Liam Lawson, like bottom to top. Yeah, 20 to 1 is how we're going to do this. Liam Lawson, Nico Hülkenberg, Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, and Jack Doohan. Just some mistakes from the Alpines. But speaking of the Alpines, before we go any further, obviously after Australia, some teams were not happy with the performance of some cars and tried to say that some cars were illegal. And when I say some teams, I mean one team in particular. We're not going to talk about who that is, but we all know who that is. And they tried to say that these cars were illegal and running mini DRS because of the way their rear wings are built. So even though they were subjected to multiple tests in pre-season and, you know, during the race weekend in Australia and all of that, the FIA decided to update their rules on the rear wing, and everyone had to kind of comply with these new rules, or at least kind of give an answer as to if they were, like, if their rear wing is now in compliance with this new regulation, which did cause some trouble. One of the teams that were allegedly running an illegal one, and you know, everyone thought that this regulation change would affect is McLaren with how fast the car is going this year. McLaren was unaffected. They did not have to change a single thing about their car. They just got to keep going, no issues. A team that did have to change, Alpine. Unfortunately, imagine this, right? This is my favorite thing at the moment. Imagine you're an Alpine driver. Now, bear with me here. Bear with me here. Imagine you're an Alpine driver. Your car is slow. You have a million reserve drivers waiting in the wings to take your seat at any given moment. You're bold. You're bold. Emphasis on the bold. You're surrounded by the French every day. And then you find out that your car had to get worse because somehow your already bad car was illegal. How is it illegal and still not performing well? I don't know. Ask Alpine. And then over the rest of the weekend, the car got worse. Another team that did get in trouble, not because it was illegal, but because basically all the teams had to prove that they were in compliance. They had to provide footage from their rear wing cams to prove that, like, while the car was running, it doesn't go out of compliance with the new regulations. Williams, my dear Williams, get your shit together. How are we doing so well this year with this car, and you almost got us in trouble because you forgot? So apparently they forgot to supply their footage, and it did actually turn out there was a reason behind it. The reason being, basically they were all given these like little rear wing cams, and there's a bit of miscommunication, and they thought that it would come with like an SD card installed that they just had to hand over. And they didn't realize till after the session that it actually wasn't recording because there was nothing in there. Yeah. Basically, miscommunication. It is what it is. They then, they were able to prove it. The car was fine. The car was within regulations. They just almost got in trouble because they pulled an oopsie. God damn it, Williams. We're doing so well this year, apparently. Next 5 out were Hadjar, Bortoleto, Sainz. It hurts being 55 girly right now. Behrman and Alonso. Hadjar did have issues with his car, so he actually didn't get to complete a lap. Thank you for coming for my TED Talk. And then we had our top 10 in the starting grid. 10 being Lance Stroll. Aston Martin, welcome home, I guess. In 9th, Alex Albon. Being Williams girly and a McLaren girly, it was a little bit hard because obviously up until this year, Williams weren't doing so great. And I'm not like a hardcore Alex Albon fan. It's more like I paid attention to him, and with Carlos going there this year, I'm obviously able to pay more attention to that team. But I do like Alex Albon. I've always liked Alex Albon. He's a great talent. Simple. Thank you. The car this year is performing so well. And I'm going to say once again, trust the process with this look. The car is performing so well, and Alex is doing so well. So it's hard to see Carlos not gelling with the car yet. He did say give him like 5 or so races to, you know, really get the hang of that car. So we're hopeful. We're hopeful. Alex, in the meantime, is doing absolutely phenomenal with that car. Thank you. Up in P9. 8th, Yuki Tsunoda. While Liam Lawson is all the way at the back. But go Yuki Tsunoda. 7, Kimi Antonelli. 6, Lando Norris after... I think he aborted. Or is having issues with the tyres. One or the other. And yeah, basically not the greatest sprint qualifying from Lando. Fifth, George Russell. Fourth, Charles Leclerc. Third, Oscar Piastri. Second, Max Verstappen. And first, finally getting results he wants to see in that Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton. Why does this keep not focusing? Finally getting the hang of that Ferrari, we have Lewis Hamilton on pole. Onto the actual sprint race though. Very early on we had... I'm sorry, I'm not sticking my finger up at you all, but I feel like I am at this point. Very early on we had a lock-up from Lando, causing him to drop all the way down to P9. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it, if I'm being honest with everyone. Kinda sucks. Kinda sucks. But yeah, lock-up, causing him to drop down to P9. It is what it is. And then we had, again, sprint was like pretty uneventful, if I'm being honest. It's one of those things with China of like, the track is all about your tire degradation. Is you are so focused on not chewing through your tires, you're not really doing much else outside of that. So then we had with the new track, a lot of the teams were having issues with the tires being chewed through, with it already being known as a tire destroyer track. So you're adding more into that mix to cause it to be shredded, where unfortunately we end up having some more issues over the weekend. One of the drivers having issues with their tyres and just having issues in general with their car, Lando Norris. And it's a little bit annoying because he was asking the team for help for laps. For laps, that man was saying, like, can you please help? Like, look at the data, something's up. And the team just kept saying, no, we're good. Everything's good. And then suddenly, laps later, they realized, oh, maybe we're not good. And turned around and said, how can we help? And by then it was already too late. Which then obviously sucks, because we'd already dropped down to P9. So, how can we help? You can't now. It's too late. Just get all of that in there. Again, trust the process, ladies and gentlemen. Carlos Sainz also had a late pit stop. Nobody kind of knows why, but he did. And it dropped him all the way... Oh my god, stop. It did drop him all the way to the back of the pack. He did make the positions up again in a very unconventional way, because Jack Doohan collided with Gabby Bortoleto and actually spun Gabby. And Nico Hülkenberg got caught up in this, and Carlos came up to it as it happened and kind of just went around the outside. I will insert that footage just because I feel like if you haven't seen that footage, everyone needs to see that footage. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and he just locked his...
Other than that, that's all that happened in the sprint race. Lando was able to make up points, well, up positions, and got the last point position for that race, for the sprint race. So in the points for the sprint race, after literally just by the skin of his teeth making it into the points, Lando Norris in 8th, Kimi Antonelli in 7th, Yuki Tsunoda in 6th. I love what's going to come for there. Charles Leclerc in 5th, George Russell in 4th, Max Verstappen in 3rd, Oscar Piastri in 2nd, and Lewis Hamilton in 1st. Thanks to Oscar Piastri being 2nd, it did actually help McLaren stay in the Constructors' Championship lead. It also helped Lando stay in the Drivers' Championship lead. Thank you, Oscar Piastri. And then we have qualifying. Pretty uneventful again. All that really happened was Jack Doohan spun out early on in the sessions. No damage or anything like that. He was able to keep going. It obviously was just something that caused some issues for him. So first 5 out of qualifying was once again Liam Lawson down in 20th, Gabby Bortoletto, Jack Doohan, Ollie Behrman and Pierre Gasly. Again, imagine you're an Alpine driver and your car is bad and you're bald. It's really hard. And then next 5 out was Carlos Sainz, Lance Stroll, Fernando Alonso, Nico Hülkenberg and Esteban Ocon. Top 10 in the grid. Lando Norris bailed out quite late on one of his last flying. I think it was his last flying lap. Actually, I think it was his actual last flying lap. He had to bail out. He'd had an issue in one of the sectors. I think he'd gone wide or something, and it basically ruined it for him. And he bailed out at the last second. Yeah. Anyway, 10th to 1st, Alex Albon, Yuki Tsunoda, Kimi Antonelli, Isaac Hadjar, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Lando Norris even after bailing out. George Russell, and taking his maiden pole, Oscar Piastri. Everybody, the comeback that man made after Australia and the issues that he had in Australia. Thank you. Thank you, McLaren. You are doing well this year and I'm proud. So, then we had oh my god, I've got fucking... Okay. Anyway. Then we had the actual race. If I'm being honest, there wasn't like tons of stuff go on, but there was enough. Starting with the Ferraris of Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, who collided in the first lap and caused Charles Leclerc to have a broken wing. A broken end plate. And you would think, oh, okay, well then they boxed him and called it a day, right? Like, they fixed the front. No, they didn't box him. He actually asked to stay out, and somehow the car got faster, having a broken front wing end plate. So maybe you should see what's going on with your car's Ferrari if the only way it's getting faster is by being broken, interestingly enough. And then we had Oscar Piastri having a really solid run after starting on pole. He kept that. He kept it very, very well. Only losing that pole when he started a chain reaction of pit stops. And he did lose that P1 spot very, very briefly to Alex Albon. On Alex Albon's birthday weekend. So, Alex Albon P1. Stop the race right here. I've seen enough. Oh my god. Fernando Alonso had to retire the car. After having some brake issues. So that makes 2 for 2. Fernando Alonso unfortunately having to retire now. Speaking of brake issues, another driver had brake issues. Don't mind me, I'm not being able to speak while doing this. Lando Norris had brake issues for like the latter half of the race and kept asking the team for help. And they were just saying that it would risk, if he pitted now, it would risk the 1-2 that they had built up. Fair enough. But I mean, your driver's literally struggling because he does not have brakes. A very important part of the car, I would think. But anyway, I'm not going to talk about top 10 when it comes to finishing the race, purely because there's something I need to talk about after, and I don't want to get these positions wrong with what I'm about to say. So the top 3 were... Hello, that's the wrong side. George Russell in 3rd, Lando Norris in 2nd, and Oscar Piastri winning the race. So congrats to McLaren on another papaya front row. Sorry, another papaya 1-2. Oh my god, why is this not sticking? When I say some post-race drama, boy oh boy do I mean post-race drama. So we had 3 disqualifications from the China race, 2 of whom were the Ferraris of Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly were disqualified for their cars being underweight when weighed after the race. Lewis Hamilton was disqualified for the underwood plank thickness. Don't quote me on this because I might be wrong with how much of a margin it was. From memory, it was too thin by, I think it was like 0.25 of a millimeter. It was less than a sheet of paper, basically. But the FIA did their regulation tests and it was, yeah. So we had 3 disqualifications, which meant colour signs in the points. 1 point, but we got there, baby. Lando did get fastest lap, and driver of the day was Kimi Antonelli, and he was very unsure as to why he got it. And that was kind of cute and kind of everything. But anyway, I'm going to stick my lashes on. Give me a second. So yeah, that was the China race. Very chaotic. Carlos, I don't know, there's something almost poetic about Carlos getting his first points with Williams, or his first pointer with Williams, due to a DNF, or sorry, a DSQ from both Ferraris after being dropped by Ferrari last season for Lewis Hamilton. I don't know, there's something poetic about it to me. And then we move on to Japan, which is the week I'm actually filming this after getting sick. And I'm just gonna, spoiler alert now, Liam Lawson got dropped. Liam Lawson got dropped from Red Bull after his performance at the last couple of races. He has not performed the way Red Bull wanted, which meant Yuki Tsunoda finally in that Red Bull seat, where he belongs, if I'm being honest. So yeah, Liam Lawson has been dropped by Red Bull. Yuki Tsunoda is in that Red Bull seat finally, where he belongs, because let's be honest, Yuki has deserved that seat for so long. And yeah, this is the final look I've done little like yellowy gold gems over my eyes for the stars on the China flag, and obviously red because that's the base of their flag. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say. We move on to Japan, and Lando keeps the championship lead, McLaren keeps the constructors lead, and we go from there. This is a really cute look, I will be honest. After I filmed my last video, I made a TikTok that kind of blew up about a situation I had been going through with somebody related to the Formula One world. I did not expect the video to blow up, the TikTok to blow up. I've had to put the video on private because most people were very nice and supportive about it. Some people were a little bit unhinged and did not need to say the things that they said. All I'm going to say about the situation is if you're finding this video after that video and you're looking for an update, there is no update. I have barely spoken to him. Everything that I said in that video, it was all public knowledge. It was literally like none of it was hidden. You could go to his account at any time and find exactly what I was talking about. If you followed him, you saw what I was talking about. It's all public knowledge. But as of now, there is no updates, and nor will there be updates because anything that happens from now will be kept very close to the chest until you see me in the paddock. You won't see me in the paddock. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Congrats. See y'all in Japan. Bye.